Hello, I'm Lydia and welcome back to my channel. Today we are sorting out, finally, my TBR cart because it's gotten a little bit out of hand and I just haven't really paid that much attention to it for a couple of months. We've been easing back into reading now that we're in January, but January is coming to a close and we're going to be starting looking at what we're reading for February, so we really need to just figure this situation out. If I move back, you'll be able to see we've got books, lots of books. And I basically just want this to become a bit more seasonal, a bit more intentional of what I am actually planning on reading, and also to kind of reflect the 26 books I want to read this year. If I've got them in physical copy, I want them in my cart, and then I also want to reserve kind of this section to kind of hold the books that I actually want to read in that month. So we can get 2 layers deep. You probably can't even see. Let's have a look. So we can get 2 layers deep, and we just need to sort it out. We're on a bit of a book buying ban. My whole aim for 2026 is to kind of, get my physical TBR read, basically, because we have far too many books for the amount of space that we have, and I am trying very hard this year to kind of just minimize what I actually have and to just have the necessities that I need rather than things in excess. So books, I have in excess. So also, I'll always link below my vintage page. I always put on there books that I either know I'm not going to read, or if I've somehow ended up with multiple copies of books, they're always anywhere between £1 to, a couple of pounds. But yeah, please check down the link below for that if you're wanting kind of a little book bargain. So let's get ourselves into it. I think basically it's worth just kind of piling my books up into what I think is all the things. So I have a couple of things. So this is my little bookish jar that I painted myself. She's cute. She's got little chilies for all the spicy books that we like to read. So in here currently it's just a bunch of stickers that I love, and then my old little mini mic that I like to take with. So this normally goes inside this top bit. This top bit I'm trying to reserve for any of my bookish things, so my bookmarks, anything kind of stickers, equipment, all of that lot. I want to put in this top part so that I can display some nice things on top as well. So then we also have my TBR jar. There we go. She says TBR jar, and she's just covered it in stickers. We actually did these in a book club, our January book club. So I've tried my best to put as many of the books that I have on here in here. I'm also going to put all the books I've bought on Audible and on Kindle as well, because I need to get reading things that I've put money into, and I think I'm going to pause things like my Audible subscription and my Kindle Unlimited to really hone in to reading books that are on my shelf. So there are some things for example, this book my boss lent me, so that needs to get returned. And then I know I'm going to have a load of books that have been on my TBR shelf for a long time, but I've never got round to reading it. So in my dreams, I hold a knife. I've heard so much about this. Am I going to read it? I'm not sure. So I need to kind of come up with a system of books that I want to read now, books I want to read this year, and books I'm unsure about, and then just an outright sell, donate, whatever. We have these 2 books. So I got this book for my birthday from my brother, got this book for Christmas. So these are definitely going to make it onto my shelf, as they're fairly new books that I want to get around to reading. The same as Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. I actually got this gifted kindly by HarperCollins, and I really want to read this in February, so I'm going to keep this aside. Again, I've moved Wuthering Heights from a bookshelf somewhere else in the house to be my TBR, because I'd really love to read this before we go watch the film. So I am going to keep this on here. So we're literally just going to go book by book and just kind of decide where we're going to put things. I have a bookshelf downstairs which I kind of want a extension of my TBR, but like maybe books that are seasonal, or I know I'm not going to get around to yet, but I know in turn I'm going to definitely want to read. So things like Killer in the Cold, this is kind of set in around the Christmassy period, so I'm definitely not going to want to read this until next year, so this is definitely going to go downstairs. Secrets in the Cotswolds, I think this is also going to go downstairs. Right, we now have all of our Throne of Glass books. So I know, for example, I'm definitely going to start this series in the next coming months, but I don't feel I need all the books on my shelf. So I think we're going to keep Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass out, and then I think we're going to shelve the rest downstairs as safekeeping until we get around to reading them. I think I might keep Belladonna on here. I got this at 66 books back in summer, and I'm unsure now that I've got it as to whether I want to read it or not. So I'm going to put it on the TBR cart and then come back to it later. The Trial of Loretta Ray, that can go downstairs. Conversations in Love, I have started this. I started tabbing it as well. I don't know whether, I don't think tabbing's necessarily for me outside of Fourth Wing. I might try and tab Throne of Glass series because I did enjoy it, but I'm not very good at coming up with what I need to tab. I think with Fourth Wing, I'd seen someone do a video of saying like what they kind of tabbed. So it was like the dragons as one, Violet, Xaden, all of these different things. So I went in with a preemptive idea of what I wanted to tab, and I basically read the first half of the book before I started tabbing. So yeah, I don't think tabbing books is necessarily for me, but please, if you've got any tips, like, do let me know. So I think we're going to keep Conversations on Love on here because I'd really love to finish this because I started this like 3 years ago. Good Vibes, that can go downstairs. The Great Alone. Now, I know I have multiple copies of this book, so I need to figure out which copies I do have, because if I've got multiple copies, then I will either donate or sell the remaining copies. I know I did sell one, so I'm presuming this is the one that I've got here. I think I might have one on another bookshelf, so this is part of our 26 books this year, so this is definitely staying. The Kiss Curse, read that one. Uncharmed, so I started reading this book. I think I got like a quarter of the way through and kind of struggled, but I think that was because I wasn't in the mood for this book when it came out. So I think we're going to put this back on because I do like Lucy Jane Wood's writing, and we went and saw her as a book club when she came to Oxford to talk, and I really love her vibe, and I really love to back authors where I think they're really personable and she comes across really well. So I feel like I need to give this one another go with a like clean slate. So I'm going to definitely put this on the cart. Hollywood Vampires, this was also gifted to me by HarperCollins, and I read this back in summer and I love this. If you are a true crime junkie / anyone who just loves anything legal, then definitely read this. It is literally like a written podcast of everything that happened with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So I'd highly recommend this, but I've read it so it can go on my shelf of other books that I have been gifted. False Witness by Karen Slaughter. I have quite a few Karen Slaughter books on my shelf. So do I need all of them? I'm not 100% sure. I've never actually read anything of hers, but I seem to gravitate in the charity shops to buying her book. Now, I feel like I'm going to put maybe pieces of her on the cart because I think this is the first book in one of her little mini series. And then I think I will shelve the others downstairs. Powerless, this is one I've got dual copies of, so this copy I am going to sell on Vinted. Working Hard or Hardly Working, again, this is another book I've started, never finished, so we are going to put this on the TBR pile because I just really love to get this one finished. How the Pill Changes Everything, again, I started this book I'm 60 pages in. I really would like to finish this book, even though I am off the pill now. Not because I want kids anytime soon, but I just wanted to get my body back into a normal and healthy pattern after being on contraception for 11 years. So I thought this would be a really interesting book, and I saw lots of people talk about it. So this, I'm definitely again going to put it in my pile of books that I've already started and I just need to finish, because I'm one of those people that do that. They start books and don't finish them. We have 2 Harry Potter books. This is the Half-Blood Prince and the Deathly Hallows. These I actually got in the charity shops because they're both first editions and they're both like in pretty immaculate conditions. Yeah, I got them because they were first editions, and now that I've got them, I'm not really sure what I want to do with them. So I think I'm going to put these on the bookshelves downstairs, or at least put them somewhere where they're not going to get bleached by the sun. Okay, we've got Reckless, which is the second book in the Powerless series. I know for sure that I definitely want to finish this series this year, so I'm going to put this in my TBR cart pile. And the same with Releasing 10, and I believe I've got Taming 7 over here. These are also books that I want to read this year and get up to date with the Boys of Tommen's series. I devoured these books. They are so heartbreaking. It is unbelievable, and I do have to make sure I have gaps in between, because when I read Binding 13 and Binding 13 and Keeping 13, and then keep Saving 6 and Redeeming 6, like back to back, in the 2 different duologies, and it does really kind of damage your psyche just a little bit. But I honestly love them, and I love what they stand for, and the awareness that they bring of like real life issues that people go through. So these are definitely going to make it to the cart. We also have Quicksilver and Brimstone. These were both bought very kindly by my sister for my birthday. They are the special edition, so we've got the silver and the bronzed edges, as well as like the beautiful paper inserts inside. So I definitely want to read this series. So yeah, this is definitely making it to the cart. Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I saw her when she came to Oxford a couple of months ago to promote this. It is signed, and yeah, she was so lovely. This is her first book as an adult author. Well, no, an adult author. Her first book that is within like an adult genre rather than a YA. So I'm so intrigued. I really like her writing. I absolutely ate up Good Guide's Girl to Murder. So I'm really intrigued to get into this book. And especially when you see an author talk about their books, like it really kind of, hones you in. I've been yapping so much. Quick tea break. So down here, we have my whole Imperium series. So we have Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. And the reason why they're in here is because they were in our second bedroom, but we've got a colleague of ours staying with us in the week while she's writing her thesis to be closer to work. And the girls in book club said that some of them who hadn't read Fourth Wing were going to start reading Fourth Wing. And I kind of felt a bit of FOMO and I wanted to reread with them. However, half of them are now onto Iron Flame, and I've yet to pick up the book. So I put the books in here to get myself to read them. But yeah, we've not quite got round to it, because I wanted to, like I was saying earlier with tabbing the books, you can see, so I've tabbed like the first half of Fourth Wing and then the second half of Iron Flame. So basically, when I started reading Fourth Wing literally a week before Iron Flame came out. So I read the whole of Fourth Wing, read majority of Iron Flame, and then I was like, this book needs to be tabbed. So I ordered my tabs, and then I started tabbing halfway through. And then that Christmas, I went back. You guys don't need to know this, but I then went back and started rereading Fourth Wing. And then so I tabbed the first half of Fourth Wing. So basically, these two are both half tabbed. And then Onyx Storm is the only book that I have like tabbed all the way through. And basically I do want to do a reread. I think for definite I'm going to do a rereading vlog when it comes to the 4th book coming out, because I feel like it's going to have such a gap that I'm going to have to refresh my brain on like all the intricacies of what's happened. But I wanted to reread the books when my friends were reading the books, because I'm so nervous. I don't want to give away spoilers, but they kind of all blur into one on when some things kind of get leaked. But yeah, I think I'm going to put these back in our second bedroom because I don't need them out here. Gosh, White River Crossing by Ian McGuire. This is actually an ARC copy. This comes out in February. I think it's the 12th of February this comes out. So I actually really should probably read this before its due date. Who very kindly, so this was kindly gifted to me by Simon & Schuster. So I really need to put this on my cart to read for February. So the fact that I'm like, oh yeah, let's sort through, and I literally have 3 pretty big piles of books. So let's start with the top of what's up here. So we've got Rewind It Back. I'm going to put this elsewhere because I need to read some of the earlier books in the series. We've got The Cheerleaders. I really thought this book sounded quite interesting, so I think I'm going to put this in my TBR cart because I think it would be a nice little palette cleanser. It's just a YA book, but it just sounded really interesting. So yes, definitely going to put that in my TBR cart. We've got Queen Esther, which again was an ARC that I was gifted by Simon & Schuster that I have yet to read. This actually came out in November and I really do need to get around to reading it. However, I'm pretty sure it's based in and around winter. So I think I'm going to put this in my shelf downstairs because I'm not ready to read it yet. And then we have got Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I'm also going to bench this downstairs because I haven't read any of her books yet, and I know they're kind of like standalone stories in a series, but I feel like I want to read them in order, so I'm going to put this downstairs. And this is Screaming Summer, and we're in the depths of winter, so I feel like those summery vibes need to be kept for a later date. So we have got 2 thrillers. We've got Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. We've got A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapina. I am going to... So I read The Couple Next Door, which she also wrote, and I think I liked it. I'm pretty sure I got this from my mum's bookshelf, so I think I'm going to put this one on my TBR and then maybe leave the Riley Sager one downstairs to read because I'm not sure I'm going to get round to reading this anytime soon, but I've also not read a Riley Sager book yet, so let me know if you've read any of his books and if they're worth it. Then we have got The Lovely Bones and You. I do want to read You. I am going to put it on my TBR cart because I'm kind of wanting to do a series of reading, like kind of doing books to screen, and I think it'd be really interesting reading what the source material is for You was like. So I'm going to put this on my TBR cart. Lovely Bones is the exact same thing. I'm going to put this on my TBR cart for that kind of little mini series that I want to do of books to screen. Okay, 19 minutes is on my 26 for 26. The Winter Garden is by Kristen Hanna, so I'm going to keep this on here because it's a very wintry book and that's what the season we are in, so that's just self-explanatory. Okay, we have got Babel and we've got 6 of Crows. I'm going to move 6 of Crows over into my thing downstairs. I just don't think I'm going to get around to reading this anytime soon. So we've also got Babel, whatever you call it, on here. Again, I bought this because I live in the Oxfordshire area. This is set in Oxford. I used to work at Oxford Uni and I just was really intrigued and captured by what this book is about, but I don't think I'm going to get around to it anytime soon, so I'm going to put it downstairs. Right, we have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I'm going to move this downstairs because I've not read any of the other books in the series, so until I've read them, I'm not going to put this in the cart. And then 1,000 Boy Kisses. I've actually got this as a buddy read, and Keisha did message me the other day to say, let me know when you're going to read it and we'll read it together. So I'm definitely going to put this in my cart. Okay, we've got The Light Between Oceans. Again, I really want to read this as part of my books to screen. So I think I'm going to put it in my TBR cart pile, and then we might need to weed through some of those books, because this was also made into a film with Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander, I think is her name. If He'd Been With Me. I'm going to put this, I think, in my cart. I feel like this is just going to be a really quick, easy book I can get into, and lots of people rave about it. Anatomy, I'm going to move this downstairs again. I got this at 66 books, and I feel like I just kind of want to save this to more of the autumnal months. So I'm going to put this downstairs. Oh my goodness, we're kind of getting there. We're like layer 1 done. So we have got The Children's Secret by Virginia McGregor. This is definitely stolen from my mum's bookshelf, so I'm going to put this downstairs because I'm not sure if I'm going to read this yet, if I haven't picked it up for a while. We've got The Puppet Show again, definitely picked this up from my mum's bookshelf, and I don't think I'm going to be reading this book anytime soon, so that's going to get shelved downstairs. American Dirt, I actually have, I think, 2 copies. I don't know whether I've sold the other copy yet. I've had this book on my TBR for years. I think I picked it up in COVID, and I still haven't read it yet, so I think I'm going to shelve it, even though I know it sounds like a book that I'm going to love, but I just haven't got into it yet. And also there is a character called Lydia, so I feel like for the respect of my name, I should read it. Okay, we have The Perfect Storm. Again, I'm going to keep this because this obviously got turned into a film with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. It's also one of like my favourite films. We have Tuesdays with Maury. I'm surprised actually I didn't put this on my 26 for 26, but again, this is a short story. I hear people say that this book literally like breaks you in 2. So I really want to read this, and I think it'd be a great little palette cleanser in the month. And then we also have A Thousand Splendid Suns. This is one of my 26 books in 2026. So I'm definitely keeping this on the cart. Right, we're getting there. We're getting there, people. Okay. Okie dokie. So we have got The Love Hypothesis. I thought this was on my 26 to 26, but it's not. But I'm definitely going to keep it on here because, again, this gets turned into a film. And I haven't read anything by Ali Hazelwood, and I really want to. So I'm definitely going to put this as one of the first books of hers I'm going to read. And because of that, I'm going to put Love Theoretically downstairs. Then we got When the Moon Hatched. This is on my TBR for 2026. So this is going to stay on the shelves. The same thing for Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is also on my 26 for 26. So this is also going to make the shelves. Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. I'm going to keep this on my TBR cart as just a fun book that is going to be 100% like rock my brain, like girly romance. And then we've got Homefront by Kristen Hanna. I think I'm going to put this downstairs because I've got a couple of her books in here. I want to kind of savor them first before I read these. Okay, we've got My Dark Vanessa. I'm definitely going to keep this on my TBR cart because I'm just so intrigued by this story. We've got Funny Story. This is on my 26 to 26, so this is staying on the cart. And then we've got Done and Dusted, which is the first book in the, I don't actually know what this series is called. So this is the first book in the series. I think it is just called the Done and Dusted series. Oh no, it's the Rebel Ranch series. So this is the first book, so we're definitely going to keep this on the cart because, you know, a cowboy romance is a beautiful palette cleanser. Okay, we're down to the last row of books. I keep having to check what books I've got in my 26 to 26. So we've got One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really want to up the backlog of hers, and I haven't read this book. I've had it for I think like 6 years, so I definitely want to read this one. Consider Me is actually on my 26 for 26, so this is staying on the shelves. And then we've got Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I think I'm going to move this. I think it might move downstairs because I'm looking at how many books are in front of me right now. And I'm worried that this is going to be too many. So I think I'm going to put it to keep in my pile for my TBR cart, and then we will see. We have Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is going to go downstairs. We've got Wild by Kristen Hanna. Again, this is going to go downstairs. We've got The Life of Pi. I think I'm going to keep this one upstairs. We've also got The House We Grew Up In by Lisa Jewell. I'm going to put this in my pile to keep upstairs, but I might move it downstairs. So we have Wildfire by Anne Cleeves. This is going to go downstairs. We've got Lessons... Books just fell. That just all happened. Oops. Too many books, too many books. Lessons in chemistry, we are going to keep up here. And then we're down to the last 4 books in this section. We have got The Fields by Erin Young. This is going to go downstairs. We've got The Chalk Man, going to go downstairs. We also have The Night Circus. That's going to go downstairs. And then we've got Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I believe this is the first book in kind of like that standalone, interconnected series, so I'm going to keep this on the cart. Oh good lord, that's so many books. So we have all of these books are going to have to try and make it back onto the cart, so let's kind of put them in some kind of order. So I think the plan right here is I basically want this front facing to be all the books that I'm going to read in the month, and then try and split them up. I think I'm going to have too many books here, so it might be that maybe I keep my hardbacks elsewhere and I just have paperbacks on this bookshelf. So I think I'm going to do that. So I think the only hardbacks that I've got on here that I think are going to struggle height wise are Quicksilver and Brimstone. Uncharmed and Not Quite Dead Yet also. I think I'm going to dedicate this bottom to be my 26 for 26 and see how many of those I can get down there. So we've got Funny Story, When the Moon Hatched, Taming 6 and Releasing 6. So Assassin's Blade I think I'm going to read in Feb. Throne of Glass down here. Serpent and the Wings of Night, Thousand Splendid Suns. We're going to put The Great Alone. Consider Me, 19 minutes. My Dark Vanessa, this is also on my 26 for 26 that I think I'm going to be reading in the month. I'm going to try and prioritize for this front, so I'm going to take them out and then I'm going to fill up from the back. So this is all going to be like a bit of trial and error of trying to fit things in. So like nicely all of these books fit in a row for my 26 to 26. I think I'm going to put in the back maybe some of my art and maybe books that I've started. White River Crossing, How the Pill Changes Everything, Working Hard or Hardly Working in the back here, and then Conversations in Love can also go at the back. Reckless, maybe all of the books that I want to read as part of a books to screen kind of series, I think I'm going to put them at the back. We've got Lessons in Chemistry, Life of Pi, Lovely Bones. You, I think One True Loves is now a TV show as well. Have got Light Between Oceans and The Love Hypothesis. Pieces of Her, I believe, is also a TV show. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Traitors book at the back. I think I'm going to put Half His Age because I don't think that is going to be a book that fits. No, that's not going to be a book that fits nicely in, but I know I'm going to want to read that. Start putting some of the thriller books at the back first. Such Nice Girls, Stranger in the House and The House We Grew Up with just some other books. Let's see what we can kind of fit in. Maybe some of my like kind of more series books can go here. And then, so I'm going to put Perfect Storm and Tuesdays with Morrie at the back here again to slide in because they are my kind of like smaller non-fiction books. Non-fiction? No, they're like my little palette cleansers. I'm going to put If He Had Been With Me at the back because this is like an odd shaped book. Like, you know, like why? I know it's probably because it's like an indie publishing, but it's just so much bigger. It's like almost like an airport size book. So that's going to go at the back as well. 1,000 Boy Kisses, put Winter Garden at the back here. These books here, and then we can easily have space here for my TBR for the month. Like for example, I know I'm going to have Assassin's Blade. And then Wuthering Heights as well is going to be a book that I'm going to read this month. So, but will it fit? No. So I'm just going to put this at the back because it's not going to fit. Okay, so then now at the top, I'm going to take this candle off. So we've got various different bits and pieces. I'm not going to organise what's in here. I'm just going to put a bunch of my various bits and pieces. I'll put my chili. And then I'll put my TBR jar. That is basically kind of it for my TBR cart. we'll do like a quick little run through. So we've got a bunch. So these are all the books that I have physical copies of for my 26 in 26. These are, I'm wanting to read Assassin's Blade in Feb, so I'm going to keep that to one side. But yeah, these are just various different books. I could probably do a better system, but it's just not going to happen. And then we've got over here, got my kind of larger books that don't fit in kind of traditionally like this. So as well with some of the smaller books. So these are all the ones that I've got back here, and then again these are some of the books that are just on my TBR. Some of them are kind of to be part of my book to screen series. Back in its little spot right here. But thank you for helping me sort out my TBR cart. That was well and truly needed. Keep an eye out for my February TBR. You know, happy reading, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe if you like this video. And yeah, we're gonna have so much more fun this year with reading and books, so please give this channel a bit of love. That'd be much appreciated. And yeah, tell me which is your kind of favourite book that you're wanting to read this year, or any books that you have kind of loved and you always recommend to other people. I'm always so nosy as to what those books are. So yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.